Hey, everybody. Michelle is here. And I want to talk about something that again, sometimes I want to repeat certain things and then kind of change up how I repeat it. Because there are going to be some challenging times for people all over this planet. And we come into certain seasons of weather. And as we all know, certain seasons of weather are not like anything we've ever experienced. And if people are honest about that, they'll say that. But a lot of people are not being honest, unfortunately. And a lot of it's the major news outlets. Uh, and this is not against a journalist per se or against the ordinary typical reporters. And you know who you are. You don't have to get offended by that when someone says that. I mean, meaning you are a reporter. You report what's told to you. You have no idea whether you don't know anything more about it because you haven't verified it per se. You're just reporting the news. So you have to be really clear and effective and think on a big picture for a moment when someone is presenting some news to you that you can't verify per se. Where certain cities are pointing out, and the main thing is when certain cities are pointing out the amount of crime in those areas and how they want to project that there's so much crime going on. Now, keep in mind, a lot of crime statistics, believe it or not, will determine how much money certain cities get from the federal government. All right, so did any of you know that? So sometimes certain governments, for nefarious purposes, of course, will project a certain image of the amount of crime in a certain area because they are looking for federal dollars. They're looking for grants. They're looking for money that should go to small businesses, should go to entrepreneurs, but instead a lot of this money goes to city government and government officials, law enforcement. Okay, when it should, like I said, it ought to go to the entrepreneurs so they can build up these communities and build up these these communities and these cultures, repairing these cultures. But no, these entrepreneurs, small businesses, have to compete against government agencies for certain kind of grants and certain type of federal money. So you know what happens. That's why it's next to impossible to get certain grants. I'm sure there are some grants out there for entrepreneurs and people, nonprofits and such. But it's nowhere near the millions and millions of dollars that goes into government agencies. Mostly, some local, some state, some community, some wherever. They get the majority of these grants, for their so-called initiative on crime. Okay, and that's BS. Okay, most of the time they want these grants so that they can invest in the type of technology to continue to spy on people. Okay, invade people's privacy. Invade people's conversation, knowing what everyone's doing, knowing everybody's movement. That's what that usually is about. It's not about safety. And don't let them fool you on that. It's not about protecting and serve. Okay? That's a myth. All right? So that's why I advocate, and I'm going to repeat, for the safety of our communities, we need to remove white police officers out of black communities. Okay? And I'm saying that and stressing that for a reason. And I hope those officials and I hope the citizens hear me on that. Okay? Put them in these affluent neighborhoods. In these affluent neighborhoods is where people hide, where domestic terrorists hide. They hide in those type of neighborhoods. Okay, that's where they are. And everyone thinks everything's happening in black culture. Not a goddamn thing is happening in black culture except weed. Okay? Some weed. And then sometimes they'll parade around certain weapons, which are filtered into the neighborhoods. All you got to do is go back to Ronald Reagan for that. Ronald and Nancy Reagans, the drug lords of America. Okay, they were. So there will always be an image that is projected, and that's why you have to be really careful. That's why it's so hard for intellectuals to kind of snap out of stuff, because as a visual person, I pay attention to the imagery that's filtered towards me, and I look at it, as I'm maturing myself and becoming a fully developing human being. I say to myself, okay, what's the reality of all of this that they're showing me on this television right now? What is the point of it all? Is it logical? Is it rational? Rational? I have a problem with that word, rational. Reasonable. Okay. Because everyone has an agenda. Okay, whether it's to put people together or break people apart. And more often than none, the major networks are looking to divide people. Divide. And so naturally, you want to trust what we're being told. But how many times the weathermen been wrong? How many times the forecast has been wrong? Okay, so what is happening is, and that's the irony of all of that. We just allowed these so-called professionals, so-called scientists, so-called this and that and the other, to bleed the federal government of these grants that can go to small businesses, go to entrepreneurs, for them to so-called protect America in more case. And that's always the draw in. We always are told that we're under threat. You remember that when 9/11 happened and they had those codes of threat levels and just driving people in, it just intentionally causing people to be intentionally overwhelmed and scared. Okay, it's red now and everybody's panicking and running to the grocery store. It was all manipulation. Okay, to get, and we were all indoctrinated, because September 11 that was a tragedy. But there's a backstory to that as well. I won't go into it. It's a backstory as to who knew about it beforehand. How about that? So, and we all got indoctrinated with that. It's yellow today, and the same thing about sun, whether it's sunny or rain. We get indoctrinated with that as if it matters. If you got to go to work, you got to go to work, whether it's sunny or not, right? So it's gonna take an individual to apply so much effort into snapping yourself out of your trance, your indoctrination, your mind control, and how you are easily manipulated to do a certain thing. The more noise and sounds and whistles and all the there's a certain level of people, and I'm not going to say where they are, and we all should know where they are, that know how to use the latest the latest technology to hypnotize, put people in trances, and get people, and go deep into some subconscious, because it is energy, and there's a way that some technology can possibly enter into someone's subconscious. Okay, and manipulate, an imagery, or manipulate a sound, or manipulate a feeling. You remember back in the day when they used to have that noise, what do they call it? White noise, black noise. When the program was ending, or the television was everything was getting ready to sound off, and they had that white noise, black noise. There was some manipulation with that as well. Okay, there was some attempts to manipulate that via the radio waves and blah blah blah, and that still happens today, but it's more more of electrical nature. Like energy, in an energy level. That's where these nefarious, degenerate scientists and engineers, these so-called high level thinking intellectuals, that's where they want to go. They want a they That's why they had this turn on. It was turned on because a lot of them are sexually frustrated as well, and sexually deviant, and sexually perverted. They saw that AI can get into the minds of certain people, into the subconscious of certain people, and that is where they're headed. It was always about the human brain or the human mind. That's how it's always been. If you can control the human brain and the human mind, guess what? Guess what you have? All right. So it's always has been about that. It's about an ego, a sexually frustrated, deviant, perverted, usually males, scientist level, who have this deviancy and this frustration, and they need to control other people so that they can get their needs met because they can't do it otherwise. All right, nobody's paying them attention. Nobody wants to go out with them. Okay, and that's frustrating. And so, of course, that's somebody else's problem, right? Not theirs. I'm a scientist, is what they'll say. I'm a scientist. You should want to be with me. I'm a high level intellectual. You should want to be with me. You should want to, So it's an ego. It's a perversion. It's a deviancy, degeneration that is, of course, dangerous. We got the results to prove so. So just always, just you control the narrative about what is being filtered into you, and you make sure you stay up, you stay alert, because, like I said, we're in an election season now, and so now everybody's going to be making you scared. Oh my God, this particular city what happened? What's going on with the crime in this city? And businesses, these so-called franchises that are held by these deviant businessmen, these deviant business owners, these deviant, high-level millionaires or billionaires, they always are moving their businesses in and out of states and out of communities. That's for bottom line it's for a bottom line. Okay, that's why these these particular not high end stores, but let's say example. This is an example. The Walmarts, why they're moving around. They're not moving around because of crime and this and that and the other. It's a financial bottom line reason. How much can we drain out of this community, and then we're going to move on and do something else? Those are my theories and opinion. It has nothing to do with crime. They can care less about crime because they know they can write it off. They have insurance on this stuff that's stolen out of their stores. They don't tell you that. Okay, so it's always manipulation. Okay, when these stores have these to me they're seem like staged shoplifting, staged crime sprees. Is all a bottom line, and I think if you be clear and effective, you can figure out where all this is coming from. All right, because these are a lot of people are just crybabies and whiners, and if they can't get a certain bottom line of money out of a certain communities, okay, they're going to be moving, and that's nothing new. They're going to blame it on crime. They're going to blame it on homelessness and give people the perception that these cities are not safe. No, that's not it at all. And so it's going to be up to the people in these political positions that understand all this manipulation and understand all this indoctrination, indoctrinating the citizens and lying to the citizens about what's really going on with crime. Okay, because if crime is just happening in a radius of a place, but say 1% of all right, let's say 10%. Let's say 10% of a certain area has a lot of crime, but 90% doesn't. Is that a crime problem? Doesn't sound like a crime problem to me. And then we also know that, as I told you, in certain communities, more specifically Black culture, it's a lot of harassment, intentional targeting, intentional stirring up, intentional aggravating people and bothering people. That is why that's why the 10% is always seem to be the problem, because it's created. The problem is caused towards them. They are targeted. All right. So, and then media does it too. Certain media outlets, we know this. They'll point to certain areas and knowing that people are having a legitimate party and having a good time, and everything looks a little wild and crazy because everybody's dancing and carrying on. The music is loud. They're having a good time. You're smelling the barbecue. That sounds like black culture to me, having a great time. But let certain media outlets put a light on that. They're going to say, oh my God, these people are out of control and depravity and just. So it's our fault that we allow certain devices to indoctrinate us and manipulate us. And it was television, it was the computers, and now it's our cell phones. Okay, so that's why I say everything has to happen in stages. If you think you're gonna try weaning people off their cell phones, and guess what happened? That'll start a civil war in itself. And at some point, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be intentional, however. To cut off contact, this place and that place and the other. So just know that all because there's a war in all because there's war in 1% of the area doesn't mean it is in the 99% as well. But war is war, though. When because it'll start affecting everybody. War, and when I'm talking about these major wars that we're having now, but I'm talking about crime. War is war, but I'm talking about how some cities will paint the picture of how much crime is in their city, how much crime is in a city. Usually, if they're targeting a certain group of people, a certain group of leaders, like people of color that are leading these cities, are going to be pointed at and targeted as crime ridden. Okay, especially the ones with females. They're going to be pointed at and targeted as a crime city, and everybody's scared. They're scared now. And mostly men are saying that. These straight men are saying that they're scared now. These feminine straight men are scared now. I'm scared, but you weren't scared 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 12 years ago. But now all of a sudden you're scared, and we don't feel safe and all this bullshit. It's manipulation. It's indoctrination. And all I'm saying is the leaders that know this, be creative about how you are approaching to solve it. Sometimes you have to give the people what they ask for. Give the people what they want. You understand? So it's all about creativity. And it's all about thinking a little bit more of an expansiveness and taking it out a little further, and have like-minded people around you helping you with that, who understand this manipulation and indoctrination and how people are intentionally breaking us up and making us all against each other. Well, give the people what they want. Give the people what they want. So, again, just be mindful. In the coming days, you're going to be indoctrinated in a certain way, because it can be easily done, like I said, via our senses. If you're not aware of your senses and you haven't neutralized a part of your senses, your masculine and your feminine, and your negative and your positive, you're going to be manipulated. Okay, and you're going to be felt like you're scared, that there's something to be scared of, your neighbors. You're going to get extremely paranoid now because it's election season. And so people are going to be feeding on that and feeding on it, unlike anything before. But you are, as an individual, responsible for, being grounded in your reality and understand, okay, what is really going on. And get out of your homes and take a walk around your neighborhood. You can drive, but don't drive too far if you don't need to. Just worry about your particular neighborhood right now. And then if you want to expand it out by traveling, which I plan to do, take a look around. Know what's really going on, and so that you can make proper decisions as to how you want to conduct your life. And like I said, in the coming times, in the coming year, in the coming few years, in the coming future, people are going to be where they need to be. Okay, whether they're living in paradise, which I plan to, because I'm living in paradise now and I know what it feels like, or they're going to be living in living hell. And some of you are living in living hell right now, and it's all because of your thoughts. Everything's your thoughts. Your thoughts are going to create your environment, and you're probably going to stay in living hell. And you're not going to find a way out. Okay, so I just want to send that out. I just want to, keep everyone there, there in the moment, right now, here, right in your, so that you can stay focused and paying attention. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get caught up in some bullshit. We all will. We're all going to get caught up in chaos. But at the same time, if you know what paradise means to you and what paradise feels like, sounds like, looks like, you can easily get yourself back out of that and on the right track or on the right path. Okay? All right, so I want to go ahead and send peace and love. Hope that was something to contemplate, to meditate, and something to not ruminate, but think about. Okay? So I want to send peace and love, and trust me, I'll be back.